everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going lovely. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, today we are going to create a card for Photoplay. We are using a new stamp set from the Say It With Stamps collection called Good Vibes Only. I love the stamp set. I love thought bubbles or speech bubbles or word bubbles, however you want to call them. I think they make a fun background for a project, and I thought we would create an inspiring card today. There's a lot of fun sentiments in here, as you can see. I'll just name a few of them, but you have, of course, Good Vibes Only, Rock Your Weird. I think that's super fun. Dance to Your Own Drummer, Be You for You, and then lots more encouraging, playful sentiments that fill in each one of these word bubbles or speech bubbles. So that's what we're going to create today. Before we get to stamping with the set, we are going to jump in and do a little bit of stenciling with some Nuvo Glimmer Paste. Love this stuff because it's kind of like an iridescent neutral color. This is Moonstone. We're going to stencil with some polka dots. This is the Photoplay Say It With Stamps 3-piece dot stencil. Love the stencil because there is 3 in here. Three different sizes of dots, basically. You have large, medium, and small. And I love dots and stripes, and we're going to use the smallest stencil in this set. I already have pixie spray behind my stencil, and I just used the packaging to keep that pixie spray from sticking to my other stencils. I have a panel that's 3.5 inches wide by 4 3/4 inches long, and that's what we're going to stencil on. I'm bring in my craft mat here. Make a little room, and we're going to place our stencil over our panel. And Nuvo Glimmer Paste, again, this is Moonstone. It's just a soft iridescent glitter paste. It's well loved, you can see here. I'm going to use a craft knife or a palette knife and take some of that glimmer paste and just go over all of my circles. We're going to make a circle background, filling in all these areas. This is going to give me some extra texture and extra dimension on my background as well. And I think that's just the right amount. Any left over on my palette knife, I'm just going to scoop back in there. And then, this doesn't take too long to dry. I'm going to show you the results, but I'm just going to carefully pick this up. And you can see it goes over the edges. What I just do is take my finger and run it along the edge, smoothing out those edges. But you can see it adds some sparkle and some dimension, and we'll set that aside to dry. Once my background is done, now we can do some stamping. Stamping is going to be pretty basic today, and I wanted to create a thank you card. So I'm going to be using the smallest speech bubble here. We'll put this on an acrylic block, and then I'm also going to take the thank you. Okay. Now, the card that I'm making today will be great for any of these. You could do the same exact card with any of these sentiments. So if you don't want to make a thank you card and you want to make a yes you can card, go for it, because you can use any of these the same way that I'm going to be using it today. First, we're going to stamp with some bright Distress oxide inks. I have Wild Honey, Twisted Citron, Picked Raspberry, and Peacock Feathers. We're going to stamp one thought bubble or speech bubble with each of these colors. Now, I chose these colors in particular because they go really good with the Say It With Stamps. Let me show you. Brights 6x6 paper pad. I wanted 3 colors that kind of coordinated with the colors in here. So we have Peacock Feathers, Picked Raspberry, electron, a nice bright green. And then we have wild honey. Okay, once we have our bright colored word bubbles here, we're going to go ahead and stamp one more time, but this time we are going to be using a black ink. I'm using VersaFine Onyx black ink, and I'm stamping that same bubble with black ink. And then I'm going to stamp thank you on the inside. And it fits beautifully. And I love the good vibe of that. Let's go ahead and clean off our stamps. I'm going to go ahead and separate our coordinating die with my nippers here. And I'm going to cut out all of my thought bubbles. It does leave a little bit of border around the bubbles. Once I have everything die cut here, we're going to set these aside, and using my 6x6 Brights Say It With Stamps paper pad. Nice paper pad because you get polka dots and stripes in this paper pad, and then there's tone on tone too. So again, I took the pattern paper that coordinated with the oxide inks. So we're going to take the orange, pink, green, and teal, and we're going to trim these down into some 1/2-inch strips. So let's just trim these down here. I also have a 1-inch thick by 3.5-inch strip of white cardstock. We're going to do a little bit of rainbow bordering here. I'm going to add some adhesive to this strip of paper, and then taking my we're going to take my pattern paper here, and we're going to go at a diagonal. Let's zoom in a little. And then we are going to create some diagonal stripes in the background. Love doing this because sky is the limit when it comes to your background colors that you choose. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to use my scissors. And then we're going to repeat it until our background is full. I went with 1/2-inch strips, but you don't have to necessarily go for the 1/2-inch strips. Green, pink, and then this one, we'll go with the orange. We're going to flip it around. We'll just trim off the excess. And we have a nice, bright, colorful background that coordinates with our thought bubbles. Okay, now we are going to do a little bit of die cutting. I have the Photoplay Say It With Stamps number 6 border dies. Number 6 means it's the mini slimline size, but I like this because you can use it for A2 size cards too. There's lots of fun borders in here: waves, small scallops, large scallops, kind of like a wonky scallop, and that's the one we're going to use because I thought the different sized kind of wonky waves will go good with the clouds. I'm going to trim this out with some black cardstock, and this is what it looks like. I'm going to flip this around, add some adhesive, and then this is going to go on the bottom of our panel that we just created. And then we're going to grab our stenciled background. It's all dry. It's nice. It's got sparkles. It's tone on tone, and we have dimension to go with it. What we're going to do is take our strip here, using my tape runner. We're going to adhere this to the top of our polka dot panel. After we have this done, I'm going to go ahead and take my corner rounder. I went ahead and used my corner rounder, and I rounded the corners on the bottom of our polka dot panel here. Now I'm going to be using some black and white baker's twine, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap this baker's twine around our black border, and we'll tie a bow. We will trim the tails. Next, we're going to take our thought bubbles, and I'm going to leave the ones that we stamped the border on blank. We're just going to flip these around, and I'm going to add some foam squares behind here. I'm only adding one because with these I'm going to do a little bit of tucking. And we are going to go ahead and layer these together. In the center of our polka dot pattern. I love how playful this looks. I'm going to flip this around, and I have some foam adhesive backed fun foam. We're going to go ahead and add some fun foam behind our background panel. Next, we're going to go ahead and take the Say It With Stamps neutral 6x6 paper pad. I can tell already this is going to be one of my favorite paper pads because I love the diagonal stripes. And again, this one has brown neutral tones. I'm going to take the diagonal black and white striped paper. We're going to trim this down to 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then we're going to adhere this to our card base. Okay, once we have our black and white diagonal striped paper adhered to our card base, we're going to go ahead and remove the release paper off of our fun foam. And I'm going to add this to the center of our card. Now I do want a little bit of sparkle, so I'm going to bring in some clear sequins. And I'm just going to use my glue. That finishes off our project for today. Kind of a fun, playful card. And again, you can use any of the sentiments that are in your Good Vibes stamp set to create the same card. Just switch out your thought bubbles with one of the larger ones and then the different sentiments. But I thank you so much for joining me. I wish you a fantastic day, and we will see you again next time. Bye-bye.